welcome to Obsessive Audio. Eric here. Looks like we've got ourselves a bit of a bass-off going on today.
Hey, everybody! Looks like it's a bass-off. Dirk Peters.
Highway 45, tomorrow night!
See you there, if you got the plums.
We're checking out the new Graphite plugin from Acustica Audio, gloriously sampled by SoundDrops, and that is what you just heard in that ridiculous intro there. The only other thing I had going on was an analog rat pedal, right into the DI interface, nothing special, straight into this bad boy, and that was it. That's what you heard, and I'm loving this plugin. We're going to take a deeper look into the plugin and hear some more examples, answer some questions. First and foremost on your mind might be, what's the CPU like? Can I use it live? And I am happy to report that the CPU usage is amazing on this plugin. The latency is totally acceptable for live. I am running at 44.1 kilohertz with a buffer of 128 samples, and that's doing all the processing, including recording this video live. So yeah, this is totally fine for live use, totally fine for monitoring, and of course mixing and whatever you want to do with it. Let's take a deeper look at Graphite and what's going on under the hood. So if we take a very quick look at the manual, and I always recommend checking out the manual with Acustica products. There are usually these little details in there that you do not want to miss. And in the case of Graphite, let's see what it has to say. It's been designed by Acustica with Nebula 4 library developer SoundDrops. SoundDrops, if you know, they released 2 guitar amps in the last few years. The Surrey, which is based on the Hiwatt, and Kent, which is based on the Vox, and both to me sound amazing. Some of the, if not the most realistic amp emulations, especially when it comes to the cabinets that I've heard in digital worlds. So definitely check those out. Those are for Nebula. This is the first Aqua plugin in VST AAX AU format, which means that you don't need Nebula to run it. Now it says here the challenge was to faithfully recreate the sound of the GRBass 1 head in combination with the AT212 bass cabinet, both produced by GRBass. The GRBass 1 head is designed according to their pure sound philosophy, producing a realistic sound with natural transparency. And we will see exactly how transparent and flat the response of these heads can be. It's pretty amazing. The AT212 bass cabinet is the lightest 2x12 cabinet available in the world. It is part of the revolutionary Aerotech series and an example of the incredible technical advancement that GRBass has achieved with its carbon fiber cabinet line. Wow, that sounds appealing to me in terms of moving things around. Let's check out the plugin. Let's hear what it sounds like.
For bass, you want a heavy, heavy bass.
So let's take a look at the controls of Graphite and the tone shaping options. As you can see here, I've got a frequency response chart down here. If you've got the EQ set to flat and you're not using the cabinet or the speaker samples, so if that's turned off and everything's flat, you end up with a very flat response curve, just a little bit of attenuation at the extremes of the frequency range, but it's pretty flat. I mean, you could use this as an EQ set up this way. So over here, you've got your input gain, self-explanatory. There is a little bit of clipping built in, and I'll show you that later, but let's move over to the EQ right away. We've got your low end section, a deep switch, which will boost the subharmonics. Looks like about 4 decibels, 4.5. We've got a low end shelf, which is slightly resonant. There's a bit of a dip here, as you can see. You can also cut on the low end to remove the low end entirely. We've got a mid-low switch, which is 3 selectable frequency bands, boost or cut. There's frequency A, B, and C. A might be around 150 hertz, whereas up at C, I think you're well over 500 hertz and pretty high up in the mids. You can also cut with this. It's symmetrical in that whether you're boosting or cutting, it's going to be the same frequency of the band. There's also a pure switch here for the mid-lows, and as far as I can see, this just bypasses that control. So when the pure switch is enabled, this doesn't seem to make any difference. And of course, disable pure, and it comes back. Mid-high, similar to the mid-low, although there's no pure switch, it does have the 3 selectable frequency bands that you can boost or cut, symmetrical. High shelf, which, like the low end, is also resonant. You get a bit of a dip there. And you can also cut with it and remove your top end. You've got a bright switch, which, like the deep switch, on the high end, it boosts it up, this time up to 6 dBs of high-end boost. And there's the DI knob, which allows you, of course, to mix in a certain level of the direct sound. I've got your master output here, and down here's the speaker section. We've got 2 mics to choose from. You can turn them on or off, turn it on, and you select one of the microphones. There's 4 to choose from. American Dynamic 57, that's a Shure SM57. Ribbon 10, that's a Royer R10. German Condenser U47. German Dynamic Sennheiser 421. Let's do the 57 here, and we can see the response curve come up on our graph. Note that for each of these 2 selections, the microphones are the same choices, but you can change the volume and the pan independently between the 2 mics. So let's pull up, turn on mic 2. We've got the 4 same mics to choose from. If we choose the 57, that's just going to be redundant. We shouldn't see any changes really in the graph here, maybe aside from it being louder. However, if we were to choose a different microphone, maybe the American Ribbon, let's pan them out left and right. And now you can start to see some differences here on our graph between the left and right. So you can get some pretty interesting combinations. All the microphones are in phase with each other. They react together nicely. Sounds great. And I was able to get a good variety of tones just by selecting different models of microphone. Over here for the speaker section, to finalize the options, is a tweeter on switch. And what that does is it lets your top end through. And I sort of glossed over the preset section. It does come with a bunch of different presets for different styles. I'm not much of a preset guy, so I don't always think to look there, but I'm sure there's some good presets to be had there. As you can see with all those controls and the different mics to choose from, there's a tremendous versatility in terms of the tones that you can get. So let's get to some examples here, and we can hear what we're talking about. So here we are flat. Dial in some low. Nice. Deep. Go for some mid-lows. Pull the master back. So here are the mid-highs. Go for some high end. Now we're still listening to the DI here. Pull the DI down, you're going to get no signal at all. Or very little anyway.
No, it ain't simple. I didn't know that at the time, right? I still didn't know that Steve had a problem with his bass. Luckily enough, by the time I finished the Poxy solo, he had his bass working again.
Let's turn on the first mic, which is panned to the left. Put that in the middle. Let's put this one in the middle, turn it on. go for the 421. These two sound really nice together. Pull down the 421. Pull it up. Of course, we can pan them out if we wanted to as well. Okay, so let's play some of that jazzy noodling again, and we will put some DI in. Without it. Split the difference. Pretty nice. What happens if we turn the tweeter on? So we wanted to get as much high end as possible for some reason. Let's turn this down. Let's crank those. Maybe switch this out for a 57, which is a bit brighter. Setting a ton of high. So if I bypass it, bypassed. On. Let's say we wanted to go the other way, and we wanted to make it deep, deep, deep. Let's take off the high-end boost. Let's take off the tweeter. Let's turn this down even more because we're going to be cranking this up. Now we'll go for the ribbon. Let's even roll off some more highs. Let's take the DI out, actually. That's interesting. Play around with this one. That's a 47. Let's try... Actually, what we'll do is we'll try the 421. Actually, 421 and 47, pretty good combo. We could try the 421 on the ribbon. The combinations do behave differently with each other, so... But I think that 47 was pretty important, having some low end. Yeah, I like that. Tons of low. Bypass. With it. So yeah, and in a mix, this thing just sits beautifully. I should mention that there is a bit of a clipper on this, although it I found it requires a little bit of careful work to make work. You crank that gain up, but I'm going to pull that master down like all the way because keeping things below zero I found to be a bit difficult. In fact, the other thing I was doing, I was taking this bit shift gain plugin, and I won't give it that much. Let me stop this before. I'm going to give it 18 dBs of boost here, and then afterwards, I'm going to pull it back by the same amount, 3 bits, 18 dBs reduction after it. So I've got a big boost going in, and I'm going to be hitting the plugin really hard, and then attenuating afterwards. So here's what happens with that. deep off. This is all the internal clipping of the plugin. So maybe you don't want that much. Don't want to fart it out too much. A bit of warmth though. Yeah, I'm finding that to be pretty nice. Thing about it though, in order to get that, I had to do a little trickery, because without that 18 dBs of reduction afterwards, I'd be going well over 0 in the DAW. As you can see here, actually do go over 0 at one point. So I've got the bit shift gain adding 3 bits, that's 18 decibels. And I'm taking that off after the plugin. So it's been reduced 18 decibels, but as you can see here on the meters, it's a damn loud signal. It's still peaking at, I'd say, what, minus 4 dBs? So you'd be way over if you didn't have this scenario going on. And that gain is, I guess, let's see what happens if I pull the master all the way down. One bit. Let's see. See, now that's hitting the limiter. I still needed 6 dBs of attenuation there, even when the master pulled all the way down. So maybe that's something to look at, to a way to get to that internal clipper and keep the levels, input-output levels, a little more under control. But if you're willing to do some pre and post gain on it, you get some pretty cool internal saturation.
First of all, on bass vocals.
So there you have it, Graphite from Acustica Audio, sampled by SoundDrops. It's phenomenal, it's meticulous, it's an amazingly powerful, solid foundation on which to build your bass tone. This has just been a standard jazz bass, and so you can hear what that sounds like. In particular, I really enjoy the cabinets. I always thought that the Acustica technology was a little bit nicer than static IRs in terms of the realism and the quality of the sound. So I hope you agree. I hope you check out Graphite. I hope you like. I hope you subscribe. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this was helpful. And we'll see you next time on Obsessive Audio.